Look, right, it's hard being a WWE timekeeper. You have to sit in a comfy chair for sometimes 4 hours, you have to wait for the right moment, and you also have to periodically hit a thing with an adorably small hammer. It's up there with air traffic controller in terms of stress. No wonder so many timekeepers die young. Here's one, remember him. SummerSlam 2015 was a pretty good show, only hampered by both of its top-drawing matches being hampered by weird finishes. The winner-takes-all match between Seth Rollins and John Cena ended with a wild Jon Stewart appearing, and it was super effective, and Undertaker beat Brock Lesnar after a timekeeper finally cracked and went rogue. It's an odd show with two Match of the Year candidates ending in the silliest possible ways. I'm Plumpy from WhatCulture.com, and here are 10 fascinating facts about SummerSlam 2015. Number 10, it's the first 4-hour SummerSlam. WWE had been looking for ways to make the rest of their big four pay-per-views as important as WrestleMania for each to have a true cornerstone quality. Over the last few years, NXT takeovers have been added to the weekends of those pay-per-views. The Brooklyn one in 2015 was an instant classic, and in the past year, the events have seen an increased runtime as well. SummerSlam 2015 was the first to join WrestleMania in expanded length, going to 4 hours for the first time ever. Of the 10 matches on the show, 8 of them went beyond the 10-minute mark, giving most of the important action a chance to breathe and tell their stories with minimal hindrance, apart from the hindrance of Jon Stewart. Granted, it was a gateway to making WrestleMania 5 hours long, so it's hard to be completely happy with this development. Number 9, the New Day segment has since been edited. They were booed into oblivion as smiling do-gooders, then the New Day turned heel and it became rather hard to boo them. The trio found their calling as dorky but creative heels, and by SummerSlam 2015 it was clear they were the next big tag thing. At SummerSlam they had the crowd in the palm of their hands. Together, New Day parodied Jay-Z and Alicia Keys' Empire State of Mind, substituting New York with New Day, you get it, and received quite a rousing ovation for it. Shame you can't find it on WWE's official releases though parody is usually free from copyright law. WWE may have felt there was an issue with how much of the song was appropriated by New Day for their send-up and chose to edit it out of the show to prevent any legal issues. Number 8, it was the first tag title change in 14 years. One thing that won't be edited from network repeats is the New Day winning their second WWE Tag Team Championships in a fatal 4-way match over the Primetime Players, the Lucha Dragons and Los Matadores. Remember them. It was the beginning of their now record-breaking title run, but that's not the only historically interesting part of it. The last time any pair of tag team belts changed hands at SummerSlam, Big E and Xavier Woods were still in grade school. You'd have to go back to 2001 when The Undertaker and Kane won the WWE World Tag Team belts from Diamond Dallas Page and Chris Kanyon in a steel cage match. Now, to be fair, tag team title matches would grow rarer at SummerSlam. From 2003 to 2008, there were no tag team title matches on the main show. They were defended in 2009 and in 2012, both times retained, and that was it until 2015. Those tag team title belts certainly held in such high regard. Number 7, Stephen Amell's appearance raised money for charity. For a barely trained celebrity, Stephen Amell looked more than decent in his tag team match with Neville against Stardust and Wade Barrett. The Arrow Stardust crossover feud had potential to be hokey and silly, but all told, it added to the event. As far as celebrity wrestlers go, Amell, who was a big wrestling fan, got it. Not only that, but being a fan that loved wrestling t-shirts, Amell made up a custom design that hyped up his showdown with Stardust. But it wasn't a simple token of self-promotion, it was for a good cause. Amell sold the shirts for Emily's House, a children's hospice care in Canada. In all, more than 10,000 shirts were sold, raising just under $300K for the hospice. Weeks after SummerSlam, Amell and Cody Rhodes, in his Stardust makeup, presented the check to Emily's House in person. Stephen Amell is a nice man. Number 6, Sting was supposed to wrestle. At WrestleMania 31, Sting was smashed in the head with a sledgehammer by Triple H, only to shake his hand out of respect moments later as WWE finally won the war against WCW that no one knew they were still having. Sting wouldn't be seen again until his fateful Night of Champions feud, but if plans had come to fruition, he would have been at SummerSlam. According to Dave Meltzer, the plans for SummerSlam would have seen a 6-man tag where Bray Wyatt, Luke Harper and Eric Rowan would have come together to take on Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose and a mystery partner, and that partner would have been Sting, re-establishing his presence before his match with Seth Rollins at Night of Champions the next month. Those plans went out of the window when Rowan suffered an arm injury at the end of June, and the planned match was pared down to Wyatt and Harper versus Reigns and Ambrose instead. Number 5, Braun Strowman almost debuted. One night after SummerSlam, Braun Strowman made his main roster debut, helping his new Wyatt cohorts pick apart Reigns and Ambrose in brutal fashion. Early response to Strowman was that he was a tall man with a child's face and no hope, and by golly don't we look silly. When Eric Rowan was injured, there was a thought that Strowman could take his spot in the 6-man tag, with Sting still on the other team. That thought quickly disappeared, as having the Strowman reveal and the Sting surprise at the same time would make one of the two feel less significant. Instead, WWE recycled the mystery partner six-man idea for Night of Champions a month after Strowman's debut by feeding Chris Jericho to the Monster Among Men. Number 4, Orton was ready to replace Cena. 4 weeks before SummerSlam on Monday Night Raw, John Cena defeated WWE champion Seth Rollins in a match where only Cena's US title was at stake. At one point, Rollins hit Cena squarely in the face with a flying knee straight out Sagat's Street Fighter moveset, leaving Cena's nose looking like a misshapen bell pepper. Gross. The injury put Cena out of action until SummerSlam weekend, though he was cleared with about 2 weeks to go before the pay-per-view. The backup plan, if Cena couldn't work, was to have Randy Orton, who opened the show with Sheamus instead, face Rollins. But since Cena wrestled 2 years earlier with a torn tricep at SummerSlam, the safe bet was that a broken nose, no matter how grotesque, wasn't going to hold him back. Number 3, it saw the first US title match at SummerSlam in 10 years. At SummerSlam 2015, thanks to Jon Stewart, grumble grumble, Rollins won Cena's US title, becoming the first man since Chris Benoit in 2005 to win the US title on SummerSlam's pay-per-view card. That's because the title for title match was also the first US title match on the pay-per-view card since 2005. Santino Marella lost the belt to Cesaro in 2012, but that was on the pre-show. From 2006 to 2014, the champions were Finlay, MVP, Shelton Benjamin, Kofi Kingston, The Miz, Dolph Ziggler, Santino Marella, Dean Ambrose, and Sheamus, and come SummerSlam Day, not one of them had a match on their respective SummerSlam main cards, unless you count MVP getting assaulted by Steve Austin in a beer drinking contest at the 2007 show, which I don't! Number 2, it was Undertaker's first SummerSlam in 7 years. The days of Undertaker wrestling on TV shows and live events virtually died out in 2010, with a few special exceptions. The dead man was creaking through his mid-40s and had to preserve himself for the big matches that his name and legend warranted. His part-time status was earned and necessary. SummerSlam 2015 was Undertaker's first SummerSlam since he cast Edge down into the depths of hell in 2008. It also marked his first non-WrestleMania pay-per-view match since Bragging Rights 2010, when he let Kane and some assorted Nexus henchmen bury him in an open grave for old time's sake. For the rest of his career past SummerSlam 2015 in regards to pay-per-view, Undertaker took part in 2 more WrestleManias, a Survivor Series, a Royal Rumble, and a Hell in a Cell. And number 1, Undertaker became the first man to win 10 SummerSlam matches. He was the first to 10 WrestleMania wins, so why the not? The Undertaker's flustered timekeeper-assisted win over Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam 2015 marked the 10th time that Julius Smoke came out of SummerSlam with a victory, giving him a record of 10 wins, 5 losses, 1 no contest. His total 16 matches at SummerSlam are also a record, sitting 3 ahead of John Cena and Triple H, each on 13. Dating back to his first match on the show in 1992, Undertaker's list of SummerSlam victims read like a bizarre who's who of different eras. In all, his wins were over Kamala, Giant Gonzalez, The Fake Undertaker, Karma, Kane and X-Pac in a tag team match, DDP and Kanyon in a tag team match, Test, Albert, Edge, and finally Lesnar. Not as many classics as his WrestleMania resume, but it's a fitting tribute to the endurance of Big Demon Peter nonetheless.
You there, do you want to prove you're a wrestling smartass? Then answer me this. Who is the only wrestler to hold tag team gold with Hulk Hogan? The answer was the rated R superstar Edge. Did you get it? I don't care. To test yourself and whatever friends you might have, buy the new What Culture Wrestling trivia game available at shop.whatculture.com.